full name is Thomas J. Stelmachowicz.
When were you born?
I was born June 27th, 1930.
What are your parents' names?
Was what name?
Your parents' names?
My parents' name was, my mother's maiden name was Kowalski.
What was your fondest memories of your parents?
I can't hear you.
What was your fondest memories of your parents?
Of my parents? They were good disciplinary people. When I did wrong, I got punished. When I did right, I got complimented.
Which war did you fight in?
I can't hear you.
Which war did you serve in?
I was in Korea in part of 47, all of 48, and part of 49. And then I was sent back there in 52, 53.
Did you enlist or did you,
I enlisted.
Enlisted. Why did you join?
I really had a great urge for patriotism. I loved my country and I wanted to serve my country.
Do you recall your first days in service?
Do I recall my first days?
Yeah.
Yes. A 17-year-old boy leaving home for the first time. It was nasty. But it got better as it went.
What were your boot camp experiences like?
My boot camp experience was at Fort Knox, Kentucky in July. Extremely hot, but I was well trained by people that knew what they were doing.
Do you remember the people you served with?
I remember some of their names, but we're talking back in 1947, sweetheart, which is many, many years ago.
Okay.
What outfit did you serve in, like branch or unit?
My first outfit, I was with the 7th Division in Korea for the first time, and the second time I was with 10th Corps.
He was in the Army.
In the Army.
Oh. Where exactly did you go?
Where did I go? The first time I was there in Seoul, and the second time I landed in Busan, and we went all the way up as far as you could go. And then we got pushed back to the Macon Valley.
Do you remember arriving at any of those places and what it was like?
Pardon, ma'am?
Do you remember what it was like arriving at those places?
Scary. You smelt Korea 4 days before you got there. When you finally, what's that odor? And they say that's where you're going.
Okay. What was your job and assignment in Korea?
I had multi-assignments. I was with most of the time with military police, but I was with the combat military police. I was in charge of taking ammunition, tanks, trucks, everything over the mountains. And the tougher it got, that's the more assignments I got. It was nothing, it was my duty with 2 or 3 feet of snow to take a convoy or a tanks, ammunition convoys over the mountains.
Yeah. If you feel okay talking about this, did you see any combat?
I was very fortunate. I was on combat, but also most of my duties was in the rear area, taking troops and ammunition up to the front line. Yes, combat, yes, very little, but I did see combat.
Okay. Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
The most memorable experience is that it was anywhere from 14 to 18 degrees below zero. I hurt so bad that you cry. You did anything to probably just try to stay warm. You gathered around the exhaust pipes of tanks, anything that would produce a heat. That's where we were at. And there's not a man over there that didn't cry at one time or was shot at another time.
What kind of clothing and like what did you guys have to protect yourselves from, like the winter and like from the surrounding environment?
We did not have good equipment at the first start. Unfortunately, most of our supplies came through Tokyo, Japan, and they took what they want there and what was left we got, and we didn't get very much until the latter part. Then we start getting their proper clothing, but it was cold. We used to take a grenade and blow a hole in the ice and rinse our stockings in the water and then put the stockings underneath our belt so that the next day our stockings would be dry.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I was awarded the Soldier Commendation Medal, yes.
Congratulations. All right. How did you stay in touch with your family?
Pardon me?
How did you stay in touch with your family?
The postal people did a fabulous job for us. My mother used to write a letter to me on Sunday, and 10,000 miles later on Tuesday, I got the letter. That means that letter never stopped any place for any length of time. So they took good care of us as far as postage was concerned. And of course, us writing home, the postage was free. All you did was write it, put it in an envelope, and it got sent home.
Did you have any siblings that were enrolled or that you kept in contact with or anything?
Did I have any siblings?
Siblings that enlisted with you or anything? No.
No.
Do you have any siblings just in general?
Pardon?
Do you have any siblings in general?
You mean, do I have a son or a daughter? Or
No, like a brother or sister.
I have a brother. I have a sister.
Oh. What was the food like?
What did it feel like
What was the food like?
over there?
Yeah.
Well, everything was K rations, out of cans. Pork and beans was the best. And towards the latter, they start bringing in fresh food. They start bringing in powdered eggs from Tokyo. Eggs, we got bacon. We finally start getting. They did the best they could for us as far as food is concerned. The cooks did a fabulous job.
Did you feel any pressure or stress?
There was an old saying over in Korea that you either act crazy or go crazy.
Alright, of all your years in service, was there anyone that stood out to you that you admired while in Korea? That you can say always had your hopes up, had your morals up, kept you going?
That's kind of a tough question. Give me a point where you're driving at so we don't on that.
Like, was there like a commander or like, I don't know what it's on, I really don't know how it
Our
goes.
commander was General White, and he was a fabulous man. I was also in charge of his bodyguard. Wherever he went, I went with him. And he was a gentleman all the way through. He treated us like a human being. He got very upset that when he would come down the line and people would run and hide. He got very upset about that, and he came out with a memo where he said that all I deserve from you is a salute, and that's all I want. And I can recall one time I was guarding a site where a B-50, or not a B-51, but a P-51 crashed, and I was guarding the site, and here he comes in this helicopter, and there was about 50 men around me, and all of a sudden when the helicopter got there, I was the only one there. Everybody else was hiding and gone. And I reported to him, and I explained to him what took place. And this happened to be Christmas Day, and he asked me if I had my Christmas dinner yet. And I said, no, sir, I didn't. He says, but I want you to stay here and guard the site until the grave registration comes so they can pick up the body, okay? And he says, if you'll do that, you'll get your Christmas dinner. So when I went back to the outfit, my company commander says, where in the hell have you been? He said, would you get in there and eat so I can call the general you got your Christmas dinner?
How did you guys spend holidays typically, like Christmas, New Year's, or anything else you celebrate?
Holiday, one of the toughest holidays I can remember is that Christmas Eve, it was snowing. And we had a peace treaty at that particular time, and they were firing star shells up in the sky, which means that it would come down with a parachute and with a star, okay? And they were playing Silent Night on the radio, and I cried like a baby.
Do you recall your last days in service?
My last days in service, yes, I do. I had 5 years in, and I had to make a decision on to get out or to stay in or get out. And because you can throw 5 years away, but if you re-up for another 3, it's very difficult to throw 8 away. But my father owned his own business, and he was anxious for me to come and join him. So that decided where I would get out, and so I threw the 5 years away. But they were 5 good years, good memorable years. To do it again, you betcha, I'd do it again.
What was your homecoming like?
Homecoming was great. I got discharged in Colorado, which was about maybe about 60 degrees, and when I got off the airplane in St. Louis, it was like 104. It was like getting kicked. And my mom and dad had all my old buddies there with the beer buckets and everything, and it was quite a party. Yeah.
Wild party.
Yeah.
So you ended up working with your dad after coming back, or did you go back to school at all?
No, I started working with my father, he was in the optical business. He did the grinding of the lenses. And one of his customers had owned an optical store. And I went to work for him in the optical store because it was a better future at the optical store than it was in the grinding of the lenses.
Is that where you ended, or did you work anywhere else?
I worked 57 years as an optician.
Did you make any close friendships while in service that you still have today?
No.
No?
No.
Why did you join a veterans organization?
This organization?
Yeah, this organization specifically.
You have to be here in order to understand it. There's not a man in this organization that hasn't been fired at, and there's not a man in this organization that hasn't cried at one time or another. Camaraderie is a word, but this is what it is here, camaraderie. They stick up for one another, they got each other's back, and there's fun and love and games, because we've all had our experiences, now we're having fun.
That's it. Did your military experience influence how you think about war, the military, like now, or just in general?
My personal opinions, I don't think it's being run right. It seems like we never fight to win anymore. We just fight, and that's from our leadership, and that's bad. That's my opinion on today's situation.
Do you attend reunions?
Reunions? No, sweetheart, I don't.
Is there any particular reason, or you don't have to share if you don't want to?
No, the reason for that is that we're going back to like 1953, and as you know, that's what 47, 57, some odd years. They're all gone. There's only 2 or 3 of us left in this organization from Korea.
How did your service and experience affect your life after or now?
It taught me. It taught me how to use men. I was a licensed umpire. I've done 15,000 games, and it taught me how to communicate with the people, with the ball players. It taught me that you can't be hard-nosed, that you got to be a person of understanding and do the best you can as far as making decisions.
As a veteran, do you think like your service is honored enough as it should be?
I believe it is. I think the country has done a whole 180-degree turn in the last 10 to 15 years as far as treating the veterans. I really do. I think it's honorable what they're doing. Like different stores give veterans discounts on various items, and they respect you, and sometimes I do the honor guard at the Jefferson Barracks. We do the shooting, and sometimes when we go to eat afterwards, it's amazing how many people buy our food. Nice. And they say thank you, and we go to pay, and they say it's already been paid for. Yeah.
That's nice. I mean, you do deserve that after serving.
Yeah.
Of course.
Is there anything you want to add? Any stories? Anything you just want to tell us?
No, I've had a terrific life. When I was 12 years old, I swam in the Atlantic, and when I was 17 years old, I crossed the Pacific. I shook President Truman's hand, and I was Debbie Bernardo's bodyguard. There's not a whole lot left for me to do.
How was that moment when you shook his hand? How'd that feel?
I was stationed on 13th and Olive downtown, and it was 1950 when he came on his 5 o'clock in the morning walk, like he always does, and he's coming towards me, and I saluted him. I said good morning to him, and he says, do you always get up this early in the morning? I said, no sir, I don't, but today it's well worth it. He shook my hand. He says, you're going to go a long way.